I've been interested in money and interested in real money, which is gold and silver, for a long time. And as those of you who've read some of my newsletters have understood, that the last few years has been a once in a lifetime opportunity to make money by expecting silver to go up in price relative to the U.S. dollar. And a big part of that is that I think overall we have a number of reasons why the value of the dollar is going to continue to go down. And the best way of offsetting that is to get, as Alistair McLeod often says, appropriately so, real money. And a part of it, of course, is my interest in ancient history, because Alistair McLeod mentions that the combination or the connection of money and gold and silver is thousands of years old. And so that's part of the reason why most of the newsletter has been very focused over a year in the potential of higher silver price. And of course, we've done that primarily through mining companies that are particularly heavy in silver production, which includes Santa Cruz, it includes Endeavour Silver, it includes First Majestic, it includes Core Mining, and just recently, I hope I pronounced this correctly, we've also recommended Guanajuato Silver down in Mexico. And maybe the most important thing that I do in terms of my speculative tactics is to look for opportunities or industries where the potential for the prices of the industry, whether stocks or commodities, to go down is low, and the number of reasons why the price of that industry or stocks or commodities can go up is multiple. And I've never been in a situation where the reasons that silver would go down in price has been as few. Really, the only kind of conventional economic focus of that kind has been, up until the last year or so, that if you had a increase in interest rates of the number one conventional source of value, which until recently has been U.S. Treasury bonds, if Treasury bond interest rates went up in general, that would be tough for gold and silver to go up in price. And that continues, I think, to have been the reason why those who have been bearish on silver, that's what they've focused on. By contrast, in that one factor, there are a large number of factors, some of them new, such as what is happening in the foreign policy, such as the BRICS, starting to clearly have different ways of pricing and buying gold and silver than the traditional ways, which in the London and in the New York, the COMEX and LBMA, which is where the price of silver has traditionally been cast. No more. That's changing. Obviously, other major factors that I've talked about in the newsletter include the reduction in the value of the dollar compared to other paper currencies as being very important, the enormous national debt, and therefore the huge amount of refinancing that requires the Treasury to auction off Treasury bills and bonds, and that is getting more and more difficult without raising interest rates. And it also is a factor that causes, I think, will continue to see more investors, particularly American investors, to start putting assets in the asset class of gold and silver. And just very recently, another factor that is important in why we've been investing in the silver mining stocks is that the amount of investment, the asset class of precious metals, which in the last big run-up in gold and silver 45 years ago, involved, of course, with Paul Volcker's excellent efforts in the Fed. At that time, the percent of investment that American investors put in precious metals of all types was more like 5%. The last number I've seen, which I mentioned in the newsletter very recently, is no more than a third of 1%. And so that again, as shifting asset classes can happen and how investors invest, particularly in the U.S., that is, I think, one of the factors that's causing silver to move up. So we don't think, along with, again, with people like Alistair McLeod and other people that I am focused on, the gold bugs, if you will, we don't think that even though silver broke through $40 just in the last couple days, and the last price I saw was it's over $41 an ounce. We think this is only the beginning, and so we're pitching again those silver mining companies, and we think there'll be more good news to come.